After 20 years, 5 years in my keep, it's now time to say goodbye to the good old Toro Timecutter. I put a reel up that showed, memories of what it was like being with the Timecutter, but it would probably have a lot of vulgar language. It served me well for 5 seasons, and well, it was about time for it to go. So to tell you exactly what was going on, I started the season off. It would run for a little while and then just die. I thought it was a fuel issue, so I replaced the carburetor. Same issue. Tried to mess around with, I put in a whole new coil. Same issue. New fuel filter, fuel lines, same issues. I just went part after part. I did replace the solenoid, same issues. New battery, same issue. Couldn't figure out what was going on. Throughout the process, I actually, when I was replacing the fuel line, took the plug out, the shutoff valve fell out as I was replacing the fuel lines, sitting there with my finger holding it closed. I was able to get my cell phone, call my wife, because I'm sitting there with my finger over top of the gas tank. Hey, can you grab me a pan? And she's upset, and she's taking her sweet time getting the pan, and then it was the wrong pan, so I needed to get her to the other pan. She took her time doing that as well. She was not very happy with me. But after all of this, I basically bit the bullet and said, you know what? It was still doing the same thing, and I went ahead and decided to sell the Timecutter, and I got a new mower. So finally time for that, and stick around to the end of the video because I did hear back from the guy who purchased it on Facebook Marketplace. I sold it for $500 and he was able to get it fixed, and he told me what was going on with it. So stay tuned, but right now I want to introduce you to the new machine. And here it is in all of its glory. I'm joking. I'll show you the real machine. So this is the actual machine that I purchased. Don't mind the mess. We're going on a trip. There's a bunch of stuff in my truck, and I got to make room for, kids and dogs and wives and things like that. But I wanted to talk to you too about a little bit about my decision making for buying this machine. And why did I go with this particular machine, which is the Cub Cadet Ultima Z1, or sorry, ZT1. And why did I go with this machine over all the others? So first off, I'm not really, when it comes to mowers, a fanboy of any particular mower. And so my field was wide open. It wasn't like I had to get a particular brand of mower. At least that's my feeling. That's how I was. And I think we really kind of hold ourselves back by becoming fanboys of a particular company when it comes to equipment a lot of times. But so why did I pick this particular mower? So there's a couple of things that you'll know about it. It's a homeowner unit. It's got a stamped deck, a lot of really big negatives. So and again, I'm not trying to do this to justify my purchase to you. I'm very happy with my purchase. I'm just trying to give you some background so maybe you can kind of understand, maybe some things you want to be able to look at. So let's start first off with some of the negatives. First off is the stamped deck. I needed a 42-inch deck. Well, it turns out only one company makes 42-inch decks, which is MTD, and they purchase them. All the other companies purchase them from them. I believe it's MTD, Murray, somebody makes the stamped decks, and basically they're all the same. Whenever you get into a 42-inch, and it's a 42-inch, and I had to have a 42-inch, and the reason why, I have a 48-inch trailer. 42 inches was the largest I was going to be able to get on a deck and still have it fit on my little Harbor Freight trailer here. And when I went to go purchase it, I purchased this thing outright. I don't have any loans or anything on it. I did not put it on a credit card. So, well, technically I did, but I paid the credit card off right away. I wanted the points. But so the option is I could not buy a trailer and a mower without going into debt. So what ended up happening was I had to find something that was going to currently fit on my current trailer. One thing that is nice about 42-inch decks, they'll fit through a 48-inch gate. But I wanted to find a particular spec when it came to a lot of the other engines and everything else. So being a 42-inch deck, I was pretty much married to the homeowner unit, and I was married to a stamped deck. Didn't really get much of a choice of that. Now, why did I go with this mower? What are the perks? Well, this particular mower, when I started going through mowers and I started looking, one of the things I was focusing on was engines. Now, I was very wide open when it came to engines for the most part, you know, whether it's a Relco, whether it would be a Kawasaki, whether even a Briggs & Stratton was on the table. Toro had a Briggs & Stratton that was a 12 horsepower. My 16 horsepower, you know, Toro just didn't have enough horsepower for what I was using it for. I looked at Deere, I looked at a lot of other brands. This is a Home Depot special. I did look through Lowe's where I saw the Deeres and the Toros. This one, like I said, was over at Home Depot. And this one had a particular engine. This one comes with two engines. There's a mystery meat Chinese engine you can get. That's a cheaper model. Or you can get a Kawasaki. It's a 21.5 horsepower Kawasaki engine. Or was it 22.5? I don't know. Look at the picture video. You'll figure it out. So, but I wanted the Kawasaki engine. Now, one of the things that's interesting, this thing's using less gas than my Toro was, which I find very fascinating, with a much bigger engine. But it's got a little bit more higher of a ground speed. And I'll be honest with you, I walked into Home Depot, I saw this thing on the showroom floor, and I said, I'm getting it. It's a really robust mower for a homeowner unit. The one thing I don't like, it has lights on it that just stay on. One other thing was, it didn't come with an hour meter, but as I started looking into things, there is an option for an hour meter, and it was all wired up for it. So I just purchased the, you know, hour meter off of Amazon and was able to go ahead and plug that in. Now, one of the big issues that I am having with this is it blows the grass way too far. So I'm a two-pass person by nature because I don't like to put the grass in the beds or anything like that. I have to be a four-pass person with this, and sometimes that's pretty much the entire yard with some of the size of the yards. Like I have a property that's a half an acre, but it's all backyard, and it's got a really tiny front yard. So I was able to find some low lift blades for it, which hopefully that fixes it, but I can only find aftermarket ones. And if you know anything about these machines, this has the S imprint in the middle hole, the S hole size or shaped hole. And if you deal with aftermarkets for that, they have a diamond shaped on it. So we'll see how well that holds up. Maybe I'll be buying new spindles. Who knows? But you may have seen this in prior videos because I've done a few shorts where I've showed this already. And I just wanted to get out and finally show it off to you. It's been a great machine. I have about 10 hours on it right now. So not a huge amount of hours, but so far the first 10 hours have been great. Taking it through the rain and everything else, it handles really well. And like I said, I get done quicker. It cuts so much better than the Timecutter. Now, I'm not saying the Timecutter's cut bad. My Timecutter cut bad. That deck had been to hell and back. So, you know, it just didn't cut well. This is such a much nicer quality of cut than the Timecutter did. Ultimately, I'm very happy and very pleased that I went with this. I think it's going to step up my game over the Timecutter. And it was just a point where I was fixing that Timecutter so frequently that it was just frustrating the heck out of me. And I have so much more time to do other things and fix other things and do other things and get things done and do more jobs because I'm not fixing the Timecutter all the time. So it was time for that thing to go. It was time for the Timecutter, and we went ahead. I don't know whether you consider this an upgrade or a downgrade, whatever. I really don't care. I like it, and this is my mower. So I just wanted to kind of go through the process. Probably the biggest factor was when I started looking at all the other mowers and the engines that they had, this was probably what I felt was the best value for the money. It was not necessarily the cheapest mower, but it wasn't the most expensive mower either. But with the way this thing is built, I thought it was probably the best value for the money, and that's why I went ahead with the Cub Cadet. Now, I am planning on getting a name for it. I'm working a few things out. My grandfather, he actually recently passed away. He was 94 years old, passed away this spring. And I haven't really posted anything on social media or anything else about that. One of the things is I'm noticing it's hitting me a lot harder than it used to. My grandfather had a Cub Cadet garden tractor that he absolutely loved. I mean, he literally kept this thing for years. The only reason why he got rid of it is they needed a part for it and he couldn't find the part. And this is prior to the internet. But I mean, literally, he moved from like having an acre property to having your standard city lot. And he kept that mower. He didn't really use it to mow. He would use it to plow the driveway every once in a while. But he kept that mower. He wouldn't get rid of it because he loved that mower so much. And I believe it was because it was something his father purchased. So with my grandfather passing, I really feel like I got to do something. And I'm going to do something with the naming of this mower, but I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to name it to honor him. I would say just name it after him, but I have a small problem. My son shares his name. So I don't want my son to get confused on which child I'm talking about. That was a joke, okay? Keyboard warriors, don't freak out. It was a joke. But some of you actually understand what I'm saying. But that's kind of where we're at with that. And I promised you something else. I promised you that I was going to tell you what happened with the Timecutter. Well, the person who purchased the Timecutter got back to me. He told me exactly what's happened. So apparently, even after that valve fell out and I looked through it all and everything else, there was some kind of debris stuck in the shutoff valve that was causing the problem. So I was right. It was a fuel issue, and it's an issue I don't have to deal with anymore. And I'm quite grateful for that. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. I just wanted to introduce you to the new mower, kind of talk to you a little bit about why I did what I did, because this is controversial. And at the time when I purchased it, I had enough money to buy a new residential mower or buy a used professional mower. And a lot of people say, well, you should have gone with the professional mower. But I started looking at the professional mowers, and honestly, they all looked like my Timecutter. And I don't, no. And I'm like, no, just you're dealing with high hours, and I'm going to be dealing with something I'm going to be fixing constantly. Like I said, this thing's built pretty robust. I'm the one using it, so I'm going to be able to take care of it. It's not like I'm throwing it to somebody who's going to treat it like it's not theirs because it wasn't theirs. This is mine. I'm going to treat it well, and so it's going to hold up well. I'm very confident in that. So that's pretty much the nutshell why I went with the mower. I went with, hey, you can go with the mower you want to go with, but this is the reason why, and I'm very happy and pleased with my purchase. So it looks like I'm playing for a new team now.